Hello, everybody. I'm Nathan Kwapish.
I'm Jonas Bobo.
I'm Casey Duran.
I'm Nicole Ackerman.
I'm Michael Creighton.
And we're presenting on students' attitudes, beliefs, and knowledge on sustainability and how it affects their practice. Moving forward to our agenda, we're going to go over our introduction, our background information, our hypothesis development, moving forward to our research design, survey plan, and sample plan, and then finishing on our descriptive analysis and then our results analysis. A brief introduction is first we wanted to define sustainability as the avoidance of the depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance. And then also sustainability practices support ecological, human, and economic health and vitality. Some background information on our study is that in recent years, more colleges have began to implement sustainable practices. And then surprisingly, there has not been substantial research observing students' knowledge and attitudes of sustainability. And a study conducted at CSU found more than one-half of students surveyed participated in sustainable activities such as recycling, and then a reduction in plant energy, water, and then also car usage.
So based off of this information, our research question that we came up with is more knowledge and interest of sustainability help influence a more sustainable lifestyle for college students. From there, we came up with hypothesis number 1, which is increased knowledge of sustainability among students does lead to increased sustainable practices. And hypothesis number 2 might look a little different from the last time we presented, but it is students that are more familiar with sustainability are more likely to be interested in taking courses related to the topic. So with our design, we decided our dependent variable would be students' sustainable practices, and our independent variables would be students' attitudes, belief, and knowledge regarding sustainability.
Okay, so our survey plan, our survey was approximately 20 questions. It was a variety of multiple choice and slider scale questions. It took 5 to 10 minutes to complete, and we only focused on Northern Michigan University students. So the age range for our participants were 17 to 36 years old. Our goal was to get 300 responses. We ended up getting 186, but only 132 of them were valid. Okay, and then our sample plan, so since we were only focusing on Northern students, we wanted to make sure we got a wide variety of students on campus. So we distributed our QR codes through Black Rocks Trivia, the library, the PEEF, social media, and then through sports teams and groups.
Going on from there, I would like to just show the descriptive analysis. So coming to gender, we had 48% females completing our survey, 47.4 males, 3.9 non-binary, and 0.7 preferred not to say. In terms of class years, we were pretty senior heavy, obviously, with 51.3% seniors, 7.2% freshmen, 10% sophomores, 20% juniors, and almost 10% grad students. Our class distribution is also observable when you go to the housing situation of our participants, as 2/3 lived off campus, 50% lived in the dorms, or 60% lived in the dorms, and 12% in on-campus apartments. And lastly, our age distribution, as we had an average age of 22.1, with a standard deviation of 3.189. And to sum it up, our sample was 90% male or female, half of them were seniors and 2/3 lived off campus. And going on from there, Michael will present our results from SPSS.
All right, word. So before we get into how the results went in with our hypothesis, a couple of things when our group was running our SPSS design. So one thing that we ran into when plugging our results from our survey into the SPSS process is that we kind of realized that the way we designed our survey with question design and so much variety in how those questions went into the survey, it kind of limited our ability to run certain processes in a way, if that makes any sense. So we really wanted, because we felt like, I guess running like a multiple regression analysis would have been like a really good way to like measure our, I guess, correlation and things of that nature. But like while we were trying to put that in, we realized it wasn't an option with the way that we had set up the questions regarding our dependent and independent variables. So what we ended up doing is for like each of our hypotheses, we kind of had to run just simple linear regression for each of them. But with the first one, our first hypothesis, which regarding like students' knowledge of sustainability increasing would lead to like more sustainable practices within students, we decided to measure that with two practices that like students would take part in, that being like reusable water bottle usage as well as paper product usage. Funny enough, in a report about sustainability and in a survey about sustainability, we did not ask one single question regarding students and their recycling habits. Don't know how we missed that, but we move on. So with the first, I guess, hypothesis, breaking down water bottle usage, some key numbers to take from our SPSS results would be there's an R squared of 0.033. The F number came down to being like F130 equals 4.407, and it came back with a p-value of 0.038. So one thing to notice is that there's a lower R square value. So with that, there is a lower level of predictability of the dependent variable based on our independent variable. But also in turn with the p-value, I guess the results could be considered significant. So one thing that we took from this was, I guess you run the formula and you find that predicted water bottle usage 4.33. In this case, with our measurements, that would be like days of the week that students use like refillable water bottles, increases 0.588 for each level of increased knowledge. So this does show a pretty decent like positive correlation. So one thing that we kind of like pulled away from that is that like refillable water bottle usage moderately increases with more knowledge of sustainability. Moving on to the second part of that hypothesis regarding paper product usage. Key numbers again, R squared was 0.065, the F value came out to being 1,131 again, equals 8.978, and then the p-value on that one was 0.003. Once again, a higher R squared than like the water bottle value, but still a lower R square value nonetheless. So once again, the predictability of that dependent variable is relatively low. However, the p-value once again shows that the results can be considered significant. So what we take away from that is that predicted paper product usage, 6.513, kind of the same thing like days per week, decreases by 0.864 for every level of increased knowledge. And that would show a negative correlation. So what we kind of pulled from that was paper product usage fairly decreases with the increase in knowledge on sustainability. And then moving on to the second hypothesis, which was that increased knowledge of sustainability would lead students to want to take more or take classes related to the concept. The key numbers to pull from this are the R squared was 0.058, the F value was 1,130 equals 7.947, and then the P value from this was 0.006. So like the other two, there's a lower R square value, and we could talk about that later if anyone has questions, but that was one of the things that we believe that like our survey design and like the way we designed our questions kind of had like a negative effect on our survey. But once again, with that P value, the results could be considered like, I guess, significant. So, and once again, to pull away from that is that predicted level of interest in taking these courses related to sustainability would be 2.470. It actually decreases by 0.286, which each level of increased knowledge. We found that kind of surprising for a couple of reasons. We thought that with like the trends in sustainability on college campuses, students that have that knowledge might already be with the trends, so like just being able to take more courses related to it would kind of like spark interest. Almost the same way as if you would have thought like almost having no knowledge but actually caring about the topic, you'd want to take courses related to it, but nonetheless, results are surprising. We move on. This shows a negative correlation between these topics. So what you could say is the interest in taking courses related to sustainability slightly decreases with each increased knowledge level pertaining to the topic. So to summarize some of the key points of the presentation and like our SPSS findings, we found, or we believe that like our descriptive section based on like our breakdown was fairly representative of like the school and the way we did our survey. Obviously we wish we would have had like a more even breakdown between like class standings and such, but it's kind of the way you put out the survey when we're all seniors and we're putting our things on social media. It's just more natural you're gonna get upperclassmen because we know more of them. Another thing is that we believe our survey design could have been more uniform. So what we mean is like, if I'm not like correct, but I'm pretty sure that like the way we judged like the students' knowledge and sustainability was either like a 3 or 4 level like question where it was like slight knowledge to like very knowledgeable at that level, and then we were comparing that to like a slider scale in terms of like how often students were like using sustainable practices. So we felt like if we would have kept that more uniform, like rate your knowledge on a scale of 1 to 10 and then like rate everything else on a scale of 1 to 10, it would have provided us like possibly more like, not uniform, but like more substantial results. And then what we found with our SPSS results is they have the significance, but the predictability of each like process was pretty weak. And then the last thing that we could pull from this is that increased knowledge of sustainability may or may not increase student sustainable practices. Our results just weren't, I guess, we didn't have the results that we needed to, I guess, pull that from this presentation and this project.